Welcome to The Inner Wonder. I'm Alex and I'm your host.
Hi thinkers, I'm Alex and I'm your host. Today with us we have Dominic. Dominic is, before everything else, is a very good friend that I met a couple of years ago. But Dominic is an anthropologist by degree. She's from the Netherlands, although now she lives in Spain. She worked in politics and political movements, as that was also what you dreamt.
Yeah.
But now she's the founder of We Moving Stories. Moving Stories is an organization that focuses on educating managers and business professionals, as well as students at universities, about the importance of inclusion, of diversity, and how every person matters.
I love that.
Dominic, that's like maybe, let's say, a LinkedIn way of of talking about you.
I always love when other people describe We Moving Stories,
Yeah.
because it's like, even I cannot explain it at the same time twice. So, so it's always, I'm always fascinated about which direction people take
Yeah.
it. You did very well.
Thank you.
I'm very much on board. Yeah.
But the question I always ask the guests is, if I was to remove this CV, from Dominic, and I asked, who is Dominic? What would you say?
Oh, just that small question.
Yeah, just to start.
Okay, just to warm up. Okay. Actually, taking away the CV, or maybe even taking away We Moving Stories, I have sort of found out, maybe even more this last year, it wouldn't change that much. I'm not attached to We Moving Stories as an entity per se, right? Moving Stories has had many shapes and it will have different shapes, and if it disappears for some reason, I think it will manifest itself in other ways. Because I think for me, I wanted to talk about myself in the third person for Dominique. I think I will always find a way to do what I do with Moving Stories as well. So I honestly almost think that Moving Stories was my way to put my CV on the site,
Right.
and to do what I just love to do, and it just became a job by by coincidence more than goal. Other things about me, like taking away achievements and things like that, I think one of the things that I would say about myself is that in public or outside, I come across as very energetic and very happy to be around people. And I'm not saying that's not true. I love people, obviously. But I've come to know myself as a very calm loner. I absolutely love to have time for myself, and not have noise of other people. I think it's something that more and more I see, and I also see in my choices, that I choose more and more to be happy with myself, or just be with myself. I also think someone once asked me, based on my life story, I guess, if I feel broken. It was a really strange question. But I think with the experiences that I had, that created also now in the end Moving Stories, is my childhood being very turbulent, being very scary at points, a lot of violence in my house that was supposed to be a safe space. It definitely shaped me, but I think also in some ways damaged me a little bit. So I'm trying to be my whole self, instead of just focusing on the energetic, achieving, happy to be around people person, I'm kind of trying to, instead of ignoring the things the way that I am because of negative things, I'm kind of trying to embrace that more and think, yeah, I'm actually a loner and I also have issues. And yeah, I'm slightly damaged by some things and kind of see myself more in that way as a whole. So honestly, if you take the CV away, there's a lot of ugliness as well, I would say. But I'm kind of okay with that. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your massive question.
It was a massive answer for a massive question. Dominic, is there a person who is not broken? I feel like
Yeah, I yeah I know I interrupted your question.
no, go
You know,
ahead.
like you're so right, and I think that's something that I sort of realized. I was so focusing on being strong and
Right,
being independent or being, I don't know, good, I guess. But then I saw that the definitions that I made in my head for those concepts were quite faulty, were quite
right,
like not not wholesome. So yeah, I do think every person is slightly broken by some experiences or yeah, experiences. But yeah, I think that makes it also beautiful in a sense.
right.
And that doesn't neglect that it's very uncomfortable and painful at times. So, you know, sometimes I'm also a bit tired of people that say like, oh, you know, it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. In some cases, that's not the case. In some cases, it just makes you weaker.
Yeah,
But to like neglect or ignore that completely, I
right,
think is the wrong way to go at it.
right,
Wrong, I mean, I think you need to go sort of through it to realize that you should just embrace it. But yeah, no, I think every person has their things. That's why I'm so passionate about talking about them, because it's like we all have our things, we all have our
yeah,
brokenness, but we're all he and ha 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 while behind the scenes, I don't know, we're crying or we're sad or we're not happy.
yeah,
So yeah, creating a bit of a space for myself to allow a bit more whole.
yeah,
Hopefully, also invites others to
yeah.
do that.
You know, that was the question I asked you was was a bit cheating in a way from my side because the first time we had the workshop with Moving Stories, you said everyone has a moving story. Well, actually, everyone has multiple moving stories.
Yeah.
Because, and to me, that somehow clicked that basically the moment everyone has, you know, something,
It's less scary.
it's less scary, but it's also more normal. And then what is perfect is now, you know,
The norm changes.
exactly,
Right?
exactly,
Yeah. Because
exactly,
you're not different or damaged anymore. You're just a person like anyone else with
exactly,
their things.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's more than that, is basically it makes it, rather than sad, to me more exciting, you know.
Yeah, and just part of you.
Right,
Whether it's sad or exciting,
yeah,
like it's just like because you know having a moving story doesn't mean you're damaged. It's just you have something that is more complicated to navigate in now the norm of society.
right,
So if we all contribute to changing that threshold or changing that norm, it will be easier for all of us.
yeah,
I always think society is like designed for the average person, but the average person doesn't exist. So we're all like working towards fitting in,
right,
but who is normal? If I look at, I don't know, all the people I know, including you, I couldn't pinpoint one person that I'm thinking, yeah, no, that's the average person.
exactly.
No, just a spectrum where I don't know who's more different than the other because it doesn't exist.
No, 100%, 100%. And it comes back to me. I had one discussion with a friend that was saying to me, you know, I'm just so fed up with this whole "you're special" culture. We are growing up now, and the kids and everyone, we're all telling to the kids, "Oh, you're so special, you're so talented," and then that spoils, the person, etc., etc. And to that discussion, we thought, well, if no one is special, that makes everyone special.
Yeah, literally my head is the same as everyone being special. Yeah.
Exactly. No, for
Yeah,
sure.
and I mean, I kind of see where it comes from, right? On a rational level, I
Right.
understand where people come from when they say these things. But also, I grew up no one telling me I'm special. I wouldn't per se recommend that. I don't know. I think, especially when we talk about children, for example, I think every child deserves to hear a lot of times that they are special. With the risk of spoiling, sure. But
Right.
honestly, I would prefer to make the norm to say that my child is special than to make decisions based on that they might get spoiled. But yeah, rationally, I get it.
Like you mentioned about, let's say, your childhood, right? And how that seems to have shaped you into what you do in your free time. You mentioned, that you like to be a bit of a protective person to yourself, right?
Yeah.
But I would assume also to your work, right? Because your work basically came out of you.
Yeah.
What ways do you think that your experiences in childhood have shaped to what you're, let's say, now? Which is undoubtedly that it has. I think it's the core of
Yeah.
psychology, right? It all started, childhood.
You can
Go to
join my
therapy.
weekly sessions.
Exactly. I think it's the first question a therapist would.
Yeah, exactly.
What happened in childhood?
Okay, so but your question is more related to how I think it shaped me how I am now,
Right.
Rather than what happened.
However you feel
However, I'm
to
gonna.
phrase it.
Honestly, it shaped me way more than I realized and perhaps realize. Like I'm not gonna think I'm there. Like I know everything. I want to be humble, but I definitely did not realize how much it influenced me. I, for example, didn't even realize per se that We Moving Stories, was had a very clear link with my own experiences. Yes.
Wow.
Right? Is she that blind? Yes, I was. For me, it was not a direct link at all.
Right.
Which is fascinating because it's like one of those things that's so obvious.
Yeah.
But for me, it wasn't. I had a different narrative in my head for Moving Stories as how it is now and my passion for it. I saw a slight link. I'm not blind. But yeah, it took me really the vulnerability of other moving stories, sharing their story with me and with strangers, that it's so contagious, vulnerability. But I'm quite like you said, protective person. So it took me a few years to start to open up, and that opening up has shown me these links that for everyone else was was quite clear already.
Right.
For me, because I had such a hard time opening up, I didn't see. But once I started to open up about my childhood, I started to see so many things that shaped me, my whole work, I feel, like I said, but also, perhaps my values. So
Your values.
yeah, I think one value of mine that I have gotten to know the last years is accountability. It's very important to me, but more than like very important. That means that And I see that because I feel like I never got accountability from the people in my life when I was young
Right.
for what they did. And yeah, to be very frank, like I get really triggered when someone doesn't take accountability. And on a professional sense, that's good because it means that, you know, I get this fire and I get to challenge people. But on a private level, I can feel very horrible when I feel, and it doesn't even have to do with me, that's the crazy thing. If I see that someone is doing something to you, my friend, and, you know, in a sense, I can sort of accept that if there is accountability
Right.
afterwards.
Right.
If there's not, I can get super frustrated and actually feel bad about that, even more when it comes to myself. For me, I always say everyone make missteps. You can even have some misbehavior depending on the context. But accountability is key. And that's not just saying sorry. So yeah, I think that's something that I see that has shaped really from my childhood. And yeah, that I'm very not interested in drama whatsoever. I feel like half my life it was quite turbulent and quite uncertain or scary or not in control. Yeah, those are things I definitely don't like now. I love to have a plan. And one friend of mine always says, when someone says to her, just go with the flow. She says, well, I'm not a piece of wood. I'm not a wood on the river. I want to be a boat with a wheel. So yeah, that I see that,
Right.
you know, it's sometimes
Right.
hard for me to, I don't know, go with someone else's flow. It needs a bit of time. Yeah, just to have a little bit of sense of control.
Right.
Yeah.
Dominic, I think that's a nice pivot to ask you, what's a moving story?
Oh, because I keep saying everyone has one.
Right, exactly.
What is she talking about? For me, a moving story is something, part of you, that you feel like if you would open up about it, even if it's not the case, you feel like you would be judged. And it's something that society usually already has an opinion about, which makes it hard to get your story across as well, because sometimes people think they already know about it because they know
Right.
someone else or they saw a documentary or I mean, I've heard it all at this point. I think a moving story is someone who knows what it's like to experience being misunderstood or being overlooked or being ignored or being mistreated or even excluded based on part of them. And whether that is something visible or invisible, it's something that affects their whole life.
Right.
It's something that they have to navigate. And I think even sometimes a moving story is something that you yourself don't really have a problem with, but you see that society has a problem with it or doesn't get it. And a lot of people, and I also think society in general, if it's not understood, if people don't get it, usually it's also not accepted, which is not fair at all, because there are a lot of things we don't understand. So yeah, I would say a moving story is any of those things that you feel like other people would or could use. But also when you open up about it, it feels uncomfortable.
Right.
Just because even, I think now for me, for my moving story, I'm at the point that I know that a lot of the fears that I had about opening up about it was in my head. For being judged, for example, or being seen as a victim instead of a strong leader, which is what I was going for, you know? That was in my head, that was my own stigma, my own judgment, and there's a very limited group of people that might hear my story of being, I guess a victim of domestic violence, that someone like that would think I'm not a strong person. If anything, I hear usually that people think, oh wow, that's all of that, and I think it's very strong actually. So a lot of things were in my head, but also there's always a part truth, right, in this judgment or like the narrative that you've heard about that topic. And I've had it. I was in how do you say that, in so the government took me out of my house for safety reasons.
Okay.
So child services, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, in the Netherlands at least, what I experienced is there are a lot of stigma around kids like
Kids
that.
that are.
Because stigma is that those are problem kids, very difficult, and probably won't amount to much, right? And statistics also show that last one, that a lot of kids from the system indeed have more troubles afterwards to build a life that they want. So yeah, I was carrying all of that with me, all of these things that I heard, but also I was in conversations with people that, I don't know, I never brought it up, but sometimes these kind of topics, you know, birthday or like work party where random topics out of nowhere come up, and I've been part of conversations with friends that were talking about these problem kids, and I was thinking, okay, now I'm never gonna say it, right?
Yeah.
And they're still, and in this case, this situation, they're still my friends,
Yeah.
right? And now they know, but yeah, that definitely didn't invite me to talk about my moving story. So yeah, I think that that is kind of, that feeling is a moving story, when you're thinking they're talking about me, they don't even know, and
Right.
they honestly also don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And a moving story, the goal for me is for people to talk with moving stories instead of about them and then assuming they know things.
100%. How did you, touching upon your moving story, how did you feel back then whilst experiencing versus how you see it from now? So if there was a discussion between Dominic of today,
Mini Dominic.
exactly, and Mini Dominic.
Cute. I just recently saw a photo.
Of Mini Dominic.
Mini Dominic. It was so cute.
The way you said it is like, I recently saw a photo. It's just
Like, no, like, I don't know, like, you know, when I was young, there was no phones and stuff, so, you know, my photos are in albums. So, I recently saw a photo of myself where it was like, oh, so cute to see yourself. It was like almost a different
What did you
person.
feel?
I mean, in that moment, when, like, this specific moment, I just thought, God, so adorable. But also it reminds me of, that it was not true, this photo. Yes, I looked very cute, and if you would just see that photo, you see a cute, happy kid. But that was not the case at all. I think how it's hard to say how I experienced, because it was so many years, but I definitely felt completely overlooked. In my household or in my family. I also have a brother with autism, so that asked a lot of attention and adaptation as well from everyone in the house. But I kind of felt like if I wouldn't exist, I was wondering a lot of times if someone would even notice if I would not be there. Until the moment my brother was going out of the house when he was very young, because it was a difficult situation with managing, getting to know his autism in the turbulent environment that was created, that he was with child services, and then it was just me and my parents. And I think that's the moment that I do remember clearly how that felt, because in a sense, before that, I was a goody girl. My brother was the troublemaker. So honestly, I had it quite good before that, when I felt quite lonely.
Right.
But it was way calmer than what came after, because when my brother was not there to distract my father, by doing all, like my brother, we always said he touches something and it breaks. So, you know, my father was quite focused on him actually. But when my brother left, he didn't leave, he was a kid, but when he was going out of the house, it was just me, and I got a lot of attention in all the wrong ways, right? And that I do remember, I was angry. And also, I think up until the moment when I was like 15, when I was taken out of the house, at one point, I don't know, like some people know this feeling of like, you can't face me anymore. Like, just like, I've seen it all. I don't even care anymore if I make you mad. And also being a teenager, honestly, I was at one point thinking, I can try super hard to be the good girl or not. The result is the same. I'll get punished for something. So at one point I just stopped trying to be so perfect all the time, because I was thinking, I'm gonna get punished anyway, so might as well get something out of it. And I started to challenge it. And I still have that sort of quality that I can challenge people when I feel like angry or slightly triggered, which I use in my work to kind of put people a little bit out of their comfort zone. But I know,
Which is at that specific place that you phrase it is probably an advantage.
yeah, no, I use it. Like, it's almost like a little 15-year-old that really.
Right.
How I look back at it now, I think 3 years ago, a friend of mine who also is a moving story in the community, she was explaining me about her childhood, and it was for me a moment, because it was so similar, that I was still in a moment of like not opening up, but this was so similar that I was thinking, I think I'm safe enough to say that that was also my experience. And I started talking, and I said, like, I never want to be like that weak and not in control of my life. And so, yeah, like, I think weak was the core word of how I described myself. And we were in a full cafe and she got so mad at me. And she is a queen from Honduras, so she went for it. She's like, I am so mad at you for talking about Mini Dominique in such a bad way, because she set you up for who you are now.
Right.
She went through all of that. You, like the way you speak about her, you didn't. She did that. So you can now be you. So don't you dare ever disrespect this girl ever again.
Right.
And I had never seen it in that way. For me, it was like past Dominique, new Dominique. Like, not even part of me, just a different girl that I was talking about, a story almost. Really distanced myself from it. And when she politely slapped me in the face with words, that really kicked in, and that really started to this journey of me trying to be more my whole self and not always adapt to others or what it's great to be perceived as the energetic, nice girl that loves to be around people. But I also have another side that I ignored all the time, that now I'm just thinking, yeah, I love to be alone with my cat and drink tea and not speak to anyone.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a journey of how I looked back on it. But I feel like now quite appreciative to Mini Dominique for the things I did. And getting out of it the way that she did, I think is actually pretty cool. Like, kudos for, yeah, I think it's really, really impressive actually.
You know, it's very easy to blame, or, you know, thinking back saying, oh, you know, like, it was so easy, why didn't you do it?
Yeah, because
you
you know that.
Exactly.
But after-
Exactly. It's like now you saw the ending,
Yes,
or like
now
you
it's
saw the
easy, yeah.
process. Now it's easy, and we oftentimes forget that, for sure.
Do you have one of those moments that you like you had a moment where you look back and you thought, okay, now why did I don't know, handle it that way or talked like that about myself? Because now you see so clearly that it's different.
Yeah. I feel like it's happening to me very, very, very frequently. Because when you mention about autonomy and ownership, one thing, for example, that I have very deeply, and I'm working on it, is in a way I set so high standards for myself.
Yeah.
And if those standards are not met, then I, in a way, punish myself. You know, it's a bit of like, you know, setting yourself those really, really high standards.
Almost set yourself up to fail, honestly.
Yeah, exactly.
And then be mean about it.
Exactly. Because why not, right?
Yeah. No, but we say things to ourselves that we would never say to other people.
Never.
Not even think
Never.
it, right?
Never.
You would not even think
Never.
this. But
That's actually the practice I'm doing.
right?
To like be like, okay,
Yeah.
if I was to distance myself from a situation, what would I say to myself?
Yeah.
And it's a completely different story.
Right?
Yeah, completely.
God, I can also be nice. Yeah.
Completely different story.
1 year ago, one friend of mine, I was explaining and ranting, I suppose, venting, and she just looked at me and she was like, Dominic, you are such a great friend to me. You really suck as a friend to yourself. And when she said that, I was first like, because when you hear something, the first response a lot of times is wanting to justify or defend.
Right.
So I was like, yeah, but dude, you're so right. That was so mean, what I just said about myself. She's like, would you ever say these things to me? I was like, oh my God, no, you're amazing. Just to me. And I was like, that's so messed up.
Yeah.
And we all do it. Like that inner voice, like, I don't know. I heard recently that some people give it a name.
Yeah, I do.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh really? I just learned it like 2 weeks ago.
There is a book about it.
Really?
It's a thing.
I just learned that.
Yeah,
As in, Alex, not now.
it's a thing.
Okay, how should we name my inner voice?
Well, I think you should play on your strengths, Dominic, because looking to my strengths, creativity is not one. So
I love when you set yourself up and then
as always. But
Point
so
taken.
I call it the bully. So
Yeah.
I call the voice the bully,
Yeah.
and basically what I did is I created another one that is basically the sympathetic.
Oh.
So it's the bully and the sympathetic,
Yeah.
and then they fight each other.
They can fight it out.
Exactly. And you
Almost
know
like
who
you're not
wins?
part of it. Well, I hope I know.
Is the one you feed the most.
Yeah.
Because the one you feed the most is the one that is stronger in that battle, right? So the moment I feel you give more emphasis
Yeah.
on the sympathetic one,
It will win.
it will win.
Yeah.
It will win. Yeah,
Because we're so used to just letting that inner voice be what it is.
exactly.
And there's no opponent.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna think about my names
Yes.
and I will tell them.
Yeah.
But I'm probably gonna be more creative than yours.
As you should.
The
As
bully
you
and the
should.
sympathetic, I'll come up probably with, like, I don't know, Mufasa and Scar or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jekyll and Hyde.
But no, it really, really helped.
Yeah, no, I heard about that and
yeah.
I thought that sounded like it would help, honestly. Almost also to distance a little bit of emotional from that inner voice, to just see it as another entity.
Exactly. Exactly.
Instead of merging with it.
Because you blame yourself less because it's not you, it's the
Yeah, exactly.
it's the
the
bully.
bully.
It's the bully. It's the bully. Yeah. Dominic, you mentioned before when you were discussing about how you like felt, and you specifically mentioned anger, right? Like feeling angry. And on one side, I want to ask you to who is that anger? Is that anger to, let's say, yourself? Is that anger to the person that was being violent? Is that anger to the world? Is that anger to God oftentimes, or whoever it might be? And on that anger, I think it's super important to discuss about, other people, especially those people that make moving stories exist. Because you mentioned that moving stories is a lot about, how society and others perceive you, and maybe not respect or accept you or accept your story. So if we were to discuss a little bit about those people, because I feel that those people are still us, maybe for some other people,
You're the villain in now someone else's story.
Exactly, exactly,
We can
exactly,
be all angel and
exactly.
I'm the founder of inclusion and diversity and stuff. Now I'm definitely the villain in some stories that I know of, but for sure even more that I don't know of, right?
Yeah.
And I think we're foolish if we would deny that.
Yeah.
Because unconsciously and consciously I've hurt people. And I'm also kind of done with the narrative of that we never done things consciously. It's like I would love to say that I'm an angel and I've never consciously hurt someone. Doesn't mean complete mistreatment,
Right.
But we have all done things in a way knowing that there was a person left out or not feeling good with that comment or be in a group and set the energy, right? And I think our self-reflection towards our role only goes to a certain level because after that it becomes very uncomfortable to think about yourself,
Right.
like the bully, for example.
Right.
But when it comes to anger and these kind of things of being the person that judges and mistreats it, I'm gonna call myself out. I've definitely been that person as well, and I think everyone has. But I feel like someone needs to start that chain of you're not a bad person because you did some bad things, right? That's why for me accountability is so important. Because I feel it's a necessary step to learn. Because if you don't take accountability, then there's no next step afterwards. Because then you still reflected to the point that you're still didn't do something really bad, so you're good, so you don't have to change something. But yeah, when it comes to anger and judgment, no, I've done my fair share of both.
Yeah.
Even today. So.
And I feel like, of course, there's levels, right? And we shouldn't.
Exactly, it's a
We
spectrum.
shouldn't exactly.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, okay, consciously, it's not like I consciously lynched someone.
Exactly.
But I would also be lying if I didn't do lesser things.
Right.
Because small things can hurt someone a lot. We all know that. Because we all know that one comment or that one look that someone gave that you 10 years later still remember. So I think even these small things that we all do and have done, like they matter. And I think accountability for them matters a lot.
They do. And I feel that oftentimes, it's very important to recognize that we all have done, are doing, and will do. And it's about exactly, and it's about, let's say, trying to be better, right? And then I was thinking, what does be better mean? Like, how does it translate? And I'm gonna cheat again.
I love the announcement this time.
And I'm gonna bring you one of your quotes.
Oh my god, so nerve-wracking, but I don't know what it is.
From Pocahontas.
Oh, I love that one. you'll learn when you step into the footsteps of a stranger, you'll learn things you never knew.
You never knew.
Yeah. Oh, so wholesome.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so that quote, and what do you want to know about it?
From my from my
why
understanding,
after 3 years you still remember this quote?
no, because it's incredible quote. It's one of those quotes, along with um, a quote from Socrates that says, "All I know
Yeah.
is that I know not
Like that I don't know.
that I don't know everything." Exactly.
Oops, bleep.
Because the starting point is recognizing that we don't know everything. We're not perfect. And then it's about, you need to walk the footsteps of someone else to find out things, to learn. And you learn things you didn't even know they were there to learn.
Yeah, exactly. That you needed to learn that, or that was a possibility to learn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. Honestly, this quote. I mean, there are many things that in the programs that we do changes all the time, but this one regularly still is there because it's so essential. I think when you ask like what is good, what is being better.
Yeah.
So sad. Good. So I hate that motto. It's like hashtag burnout, like anticipated burnout. But yeah, what is good? What is be better for me is once you have stepped in the footsteps of a stranger or you've interacted with someone else, you learn things about yourself as well. So besides me talking to you, I learn things about you. I also learn things about myself.
Yeah.
And I also learn things about the bigger picture because of that. And I think it's literally the only way you can learn things that you didn't know, like you didn't know that they were learnable. Okay, now I'm lost in this sentence. But, yeah, for me, this also means that when you step in the footsteps of someone else and it's uncomfortable, that you don't back off. Because a lot of times, and
it's
that's
so easy,
literally
right?
also the movie, right? The
Yeah.
movie, if you know Pocahontas, it's all about, okay, we find each other, but we're too different, so it's not working. War, even, I think, in this movie. And I see that all the time, right? We focus on our differences, and sometimes see that as a bad thing, that we're different, or we have different opinions, or different backgrounds, or whatever, and use that as a reason to, disengage. But I think the only way I would add to Pocahontas, even though honestly I would almost not dare, is step into the footsteps of a stranger and stand there for a second, walk in those shoes, and even until your feet hurt. Women will know how that feels like. But like walk in it also when it gets uncomfortable, and not step into someone's shoes and say, yeah, okay, so if I would be this person, I would do this and this. That's not the same.
Right.
That's not stepping in someone's shoes. That's just putting on someone's shoes but still being yourself.
Right.
And
Right.
and then make assumptions about someone's situation based on how you are right now. But stepping in someone's shoes is really letting go of your own circumstances, of your own definitions, of your own everything, and live this person's life, not just try on the shoes. And yeah, I think that's something, I don't know, walk until you're uncomfortable. Such a sad song. I wouldn't recommend it to Pocahontas, but in reality, I think that is necessary to really get the deep learnings, and to have these beautiful conversations, rather than, oh, it was nice, oh yeah, comfy, yeah, if I would be you, I would do this and this, or yeah, I mean, maybe for you this is hard, but yeah, I put myself in your shoes and I wouldn't feel this sad as you. That's not the same as perspective taking.
And even more dangerous is the statement, Yeah, I've been in your shoes. I've been in that position.
Yeah, or I know someone.
Oh yeah, or I know someone. I always have that, you know.
Yeah.
You always know
Yeah,
someone.
because then, and maybe you've been in similar shoes, but the danger is in, then generalizing your experience
Exactly.
and project that on another
Exactly.
person, which is just unfair.
I think in statistics that's
And-
101, you know.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It's not fair,
Right.
and it holds you back from that actual learning that Pocahontas is referring to really learn things you didn't know that they were even out there.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, Pocahontas. Now I want to watch the movie.
Thank you, Dominic. Dominic, in the Inner Wonder podcast, every episode we have what we call a muse, right? So muses, according to ancient Greek mythology, were like sources of inspiration. So in every episode we choose a muse that through that source of inspiration, basically, we uncover different topics.
Yeah.
And for this episode, you are the muse for us.
Oh,
You are
no,
the
it's scary. I was in my head thinking who my muse was, and I thought that was already a big question. Okay.
Well, that's the question. So the question is, for us, your experiences, your life journey, your story, is what helps us to think more about different topics out there, right? So I guess you thought about it, but
in the last 30 seconds.
in the last 30 seconds. But if I was to ask you, who or what, it could be a book, it could be a person, it could be a song,
It can be two things or
it
three.
could be, it could be as many things as
Okay.
my camera has battery for.
Okay, talk fast. Okay, so one inspiration that immediately came to mind was Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So she was a Supreme Court member in the US, and she passed away a few years ago. I mean, sometimes you underestimate time, so maybe it's even a bit longer ago. But when I got to know her story and what she did for women in the US and all over the world, setting a tone that was not there at all in an environment where it was not welcome either, and the way she did it with such grace, like we touched upon the topic of anger, like I can get really frustrated. She did everything with so much grace and got people on her side
Right.
that still didn't agree with her, but she made them think. And for me, she's such an inspiration in that sense, both for what she did, but the way she did it is something that I aspire to do. That doesn't mean that she was always nice, right? I have learned that I am learning to not always be nice. That's not the most important thing, because I'm still a good person even though I'm not nice. Like nice also sometimes means accepting treatment that you don't deserve. So also have these clear boundaries, but the way she has done that and the work that she has done, like both are so inspiring to me. So she came up in my head first. So I always say to everyone, don't overthink it. So I'm not gonna do that either. But I also have to say, these last 2 years, I have formed friendships that I had no idea that there were such amazing people out there that are so selfless and so cheering you on. Like I really got a new meaning to what it means if you win, I win, or when you win, we win. Like because I've seen it in practice, people supporting me with moving stories or with other parts of my life in a way that I didn't feel like a burden, which is really difficult with me because it's immediately my head always goes towards, oh no, it's fine. But the way people have shown up for me is honestly, it changed my life. It really changed the way I looked at people. because it was something that maybe sometimes saw in movies,
Mm.
kind of like these American movies where you think, oh god, that would really not happen in real life.
Yeah.
But really, like, there are really people that just genuinely and only want you to win.
Right.
And even if you don't win, they will still celebrate you. So even if you're in your pajamas and you're super tired, or you're cranky, or you're hungry, or you're going through it, like, they still cheer you on and they still celebrate you even though you feel like crap yourself. And I have to say that has been a very strong source of inspiration. And of course the moving stories.
Mhm.
People that through the organization share their stories, like, it's still wild to me.
Right.
I know I came up with the whole concept, but still that people actually because sometimes people say brave. I think there's a part of braveness. I mean, you are one of them, actually.
Mhm.
So I'm talking also about you. For me, it's still so fascinating that I ask people to tell something very deep and personal to strangers, and that people say yes and feel comfortable enough with themselves to do it. It is a part braveness, but I think mostly it's being comfortable with who you are. It's like I'm growing into that now, that yes, I'm also an angry loner sometimes, and that's okay too. But it really gives me a lot of comfort, and it has shown me that it's okay, that I am more than just the happy, energetic extrovert that a lot of people for many years thought that I was that 24/7, and that now I'm starting to show other sides of me, and that it's totally fine. And I feel so inspired by all the moving stories, and there are like hundreds.
Yeah.
It's so incredible.
It's an amazing community.
It's just
Yes.
so amazing.
Yeah.
And it's just still, I don't know, sometimes I'm thinking about it and I'm like, oh my god, I'm part of this community. And then if I say that out loud, there's always someone that says, no, you created it. And I'm like, oh my god, yeah, I did. But I'm so grateful to be part of it.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, for me, there's no distinction that few years ago, yes, I started this, but now I'm just so happy to be surrounded by them, because I'm learning.
It's incredible what you're
Like
saying.
Pocahontas said, like, I'm learning so
Yeah.
much about myself, about others, and about my perception of the world, just by being surrounded by people that have embraced themselves, also in the bad,
Right.
also in the ugly. Yeah. Okay, so those three things. Punto. Batteries.
Thank you so much for sharing. I think just a quick note to the to the all those amazing moving stories that you have in the community.
Wait, we have.
That we have in the community.
You're literally it.
I think there is so much value, because to be able to do what Pocahontas said, there must be a moving story that is there to show you how to get on those.
Start the, like
Exactly.
our motto is start a conversation.
Start a
matters.
conversation, exactly.
I always end every program with saying, thanks to the moving stories for starting a conversation that matters. Because
Yeah.
that starting point, like, it moves so many needles, even if it doesn't move in the moment.
Yeah,
And
100%.
you know this more than
100%.
anyone, actually. That
100%.
even if it doesn't show in the moment, like,
It builds up.
exactly.
It builds up.
And it's sort of a domino effect of people feeling safer with themselves because they see someone else feeling safe with themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so cool. so proud, look at us.
So now it's my favorite time of the podcast.
You're all the time making the
Exactly.
Or like,
It's a new.
you
It's
said something 3 years ago. Oh God. What was it?
So what do we like to do here in Inner Wonder towards the end of the episode is a super small visualization. So it's where I ask the guest and the thinkers to close their eyes
Okay.
just for a second and just let it think. So close your eyes, Dominic, and thinkers. imagine yourself from where you are just lifting up. And as you lift up, you go through a journey that is super beautiful, through waterfalls, through lakes, through mountains and greenery. But then you end up in a big building. You open the door, it's black, but all of a sudden there is a light. It's a big spotlight. And you're in front of a big stage, huge stage, all by yourself, and in front of you, so many seats. In front, there is some seats that are empty, but the rest of the amphitheater is full. And although at first you're not really sure, as you look closer to all these people in the audience, you realize that you've seen those people, you've seen them, and you've listened to them. It's all the moving stories that you've engaged with, and it's all the people that have opened up and shared their learnings, their experiences with you. At the very front, those empty seats that I mentioned, they're expecting something from you. As you look closer, people appear in those empty seats, and they're no longer empty. They're something very, very familiar. They're your own moving stories, and they're leading the show. As this ends, you go backstage, and the moving stories come and hug you, and then whisper something to you. You whisper something back. Thank you, Dominic.
I was really out there.
Well, I would like to ask you, how did that make you, feel?
Yeah.
And if you're willing to share that little exchange in the end.
So actually, I was visualizing everything super clear. So one, it was pretty cool. Two, it was a nice moment after this conversation to land a little bit, because I was thinking at one point, I don't think I've ever been this open recorded. So I was out of nowhere thinking, oh yeah, this is recorded. We're not just alone here. And so it was a nice way to land a little bit. And then when all the moving stories and everyone was sitting in the crowd, it made me so happy, and it gave me confidence, because while you were reading or you were saying these words, it was funny because in my mind I was thinking, what am I gonna have to do? Like, am I gonna be on that stage? So weird that I was trying to anticipate instead of like just waiting. It was like, oh, my moving stories are actually running the show, not me. So I'm just watching them, and when I went backstage, I whispered that I'm sorry for the way I spoke about my moving stories. So I only said sorry, but I hope they understood like what I was sorry for. And they whispered back that it's okay. And it's also okay to still be mad, to feel mad sometimes. Yeah, that was what they said. Yeah, it was quite pretty and beautiful actually, and slightly weird because it came very natural. You said you whispered something, and in my head it was just, I'm sorry. And you said they whispered something back, and you said, it's okay, and it's also okay to be mad. Like, there was no thinking. So this whole time I was trying to anticipate and think, but this moment just came up in my head. Yeah, I think that says something about how I feel and how I have processed things. So yeah, I would say it was.
I think the it's okay statement is so important.
Yeah, but also for me it's slightly weird in this moment because it came so natural, this
Right.
answer,
Right.
that I take it rationally. I didn't expect them to say that it's okay, because I've been quite bad to them at moments, less recently than before, but still, like how I feel so cheered and supported by my friends. I've definitely not been the number one fan of my moving stories.
Right.
And I've definitely let them know that.
Right.
Yeah, and for them to say it's okay so fast without thinking, it's very impressive. Like, it's inspiring to me. And it's maybe it's the first time that my moving stories did something that inspired me instead of me pushing it away or judging it. So yeah, probably gonna think more about this one, honestly.
Because they were feeding the sympathetic.
They were so nice about bad things that I've done that, like we said before, I would punish myself for. The way I spoke about them is so not okay. Like, that they say it's okay, I would even argue with them, like, it's not. But because they were so fast in saying it's okay, I thought, wow, that's really actually very soothing. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dominic. Thank you so
Okay.
much for
Thank you
being
for
here.
having me.
So nice. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please consider subscribing to my channels and share my work on your social media. Until our minds meet again, enjoy the inner wonder you're creating. Thanks everybody. See you next episode.